And I teach environmental studies at UNC Asheville.
I'm Susan Leopold. I'm the director of United Plant Savers. I'm not sure how many of you are familiar with United Plant Savers. It's a nonprofit organization. It's a grassroots organization. We're membership driven. We have around 2,500 members that pay $35 a year, and that covers nearly 60% of our operational costs. So we really are a membership-based and membership-driven organization. United Plant Savers was started 22 years ago by a group of herbalists and people in the herb industry, and those that were also suppliers of herbal medicine and herbal natural products. The concern was that plants were being over-harvested from wild populations, and nobody really knew what was going on. And when the group first got together, they established the at-risk and to-watch list of medicinal plants. And Lisa later is going to talk a little bit more about our at-risk tool as a way of teaching and educating the public about at-risk medicinal plants. Often when people go to buy medicinal plants, dandelion is much different than a ginseng root. There's an awareness that needs to happen in the consumer market as we see the herbal industry grow. So that's really the gist and mission of United Plant Savers, is to promote conservation of at-risk native medicinal plants and ensure that these plants will be around for future generations. Just not long after United Plant Savers was started, United Plant Savers established the Golden Seal Botanical Sanctuary. It's a 360-acre botanical sanctuary where many of these medicinal plants can be seen in their natural habitat. It has an expansive several-acre population of golden seal, possibly the largest population that's been documented to this date. That's why we named it the Golden Seal Botanical Sanctuary. After the sanctuary was incorporated, the board of directors and members started to think, why can't just anybody become a botanical sanctuary? And that's how the Botanical Sanctuary Network came about. Really, I think being a membership-based organization, when we talk about environmental issues, sometimes they really feel completely overwhelming. What can you do about it? And the Botanical Sanctuary Network is really an empowering movement that anybody who cares about native medicinal plants, cares about the rapid loss of native biodiversity, can do something just in their own backyard, in their own community, on their own land. There is, if there is a desire to do something, the Botanical Sanctuary Network is an avenue that people can be proactive. So a little bit about the Sanctuary Network. It really creates an avenue for people to publicize the work that they're doing. It connects people within the network so they can get natural resource management advice from United Plant Savers and from people close to them that are also in the network. And it creates interaction between members and training opportunities. We hold many events at the Botanical Sanctuary in Ohio that members can participate. We also hold Planting the Future events around the country that people can come to. Since we established the sanctuary in 2000, and this number has grown, we get 1 or 2 sanctuary applications a month that come in through United Plant Savers. So we have an interactive map on the website. You can click on your state and you can see the list of other sanctuaries. Then you can read sanctuary stories. You can also choose to publish information about your sanctuary in our journal. So it's a really great way to connect. And I want to make an interesting insight. United Plant Savers, was kind of birthed in the movement of herbalism, and Rosemary Gladstar, probably our strongest advocate, would talk a lot at herbal symposiums, a lot of them, women's gatherings. And it's something like 70% of our membership is women. And over 90% of the applications that come in are from women. And so I find that an interesting component, that a lot of this effort is driven by women. We've had some discussion here, about ginseng and wild plant harvesting. Often I go to those meetings and it's all men. And then I work with the Sanctuary Network and it's all women. So it's an interesting dynamic, and another aspect that I want to point out, when you read these sanctuary stories, the things that these women are doing for plant conservation is interesting, and it has an economic value because they're creating medicinal plant trails that people can come. They're doing educational workshops that people pay for. So they're really doing this herbal ecotourism as a way to make income off their land as a part of being a sanctuary. And it really ranges. We have sanctuaries in urban environments. We have sanctuaries at botanical gardens. We have sanctuaries, people's private homesteads. So there is no right or wrong way to become a sanctuary. It really starts with simply having an intention. And with that intention, it kind of creates fruition of what you're trying to accomplish. And we're trying to just create a framework for that. So the mission is conservation of, these at-risk native medicinals. The cost to become a sanctuary member is $100. Let me show the sign.
Sure.
With that $100 application fee, you are sent a really wonderful sign that you can put up on your property to make people aware that you are a botanical sanctuary. We also have other signs that we sell that says this land is protected for native medicinal plants. There's no harvesting without permission. So we offer some other things that are helpful to landowners. The application process is online. It's very, very simple. We really ask three main questions. We ask, what plants do you have that are at risk on your property? So we ask for you to do an inventory. Then we ask, what plants do you intend to try and conserve, plants that you may plant on your sanctuary? And then, what is your intention to educate and create awareness about medicinal plant conservation? There is no right or wrong answers to these questions, and often we review the application and we give feedback, and then accept people into the network. They can choose to be on the website or not on the website, and then we provide grants. They're not very big, they're just small $500 grants, and they're grants that would help with medicinal plant trail, or grants that would help purchase plants that they want to protect and plant on their sanctuary. Here's just one or two examples. This is a family, third generation from Deerfield, Virginia. They have 40 acres. They're at the base of the George Washington National Forest. They have a medicinal plant garden. They're actively planting ramps and ginseng and golden seal in their woods. They have a really neat medicinal plant trail. And then they, have in their application, they had a list of all the plants that are found on the land. And then this applicant set in this beautiful watercolor of her property, highlighting the different habitats and the trails that she has. This is a really young, vibrant woman from upstate New York, just out of college, taking care of her family land. She has 87 acres. She's protecting rare floodplain in the Catskill Creek Valley. She's really kind of a future forest farmer, and she's growing ginseng for value-added products. Her application was a 10-page application that was exquisite, documenting all the native plants and their unique habitats. And her marketability is she's selling her herbs directly to herbalists. So I'll turn it over to Alison.
Okay, so another thing, excuse me, I need that. Okay, so we're also doing on a global scale the Sacred Seed Sanctuary Network. And so, like the Botanical Sanctuary Network started with the sort of the home sanctuary in Rutland, Ohio. This started with Finca Luna Nueva Sanctuary in Costa Rica. And so this is for global sites. The application is free for these, and it's any similar sanctuary where application's online. It's a little bit simpler, where you just describe your site and you're protecting it for plant conservation as well. And so on the website for the Sacred Seeds Network, you can see where all this sanctuaries are located. And I'll give there's over 30 members, so it's a smaller network than the Botanical Sanctuary Network. And I'll give a couple of examples. There's one in Sri Lanka, the Native Forest Foundation. And so they joined in 2013. They have an ethno-garden with over 60 species of wild fruits. And they also have 72 species of medicinal plants. and they offer educational programs at their site. And then Tapiatome Sacred Forest in Ghana. This joined the Sanctuary Network last year. It's a 27-hectare grove, and they also have a plant nursery outside the grove, which you can see here in the thatch area. And residents can use medicinal plants from the grove, even though it's a sacred grove, protected for cultural reasons, with permission. And both the Ghana and Sri Lanka Sanctuary, both are featured in our latest Journal of Medicinal Plant Conservation. So I encourage you to pick up one of these. There's some here and there's some on the table in the back. And then also I want to talk about, so one of the training opportunities we have is that we offer workshops for different members of the sanctuary networks. So we had a workshop last October at the Golden Seal Sanctuary in Rutland, Ohio. 33 people attended from 8 states and Canada. That was really exciting. Here we are imitating our favorite plant. So participants came in, you can see in the red the reported ethnobotany knowledge before they came. So some had a little knowledge or some, a few had a lot. These are percentages. And then after it increased, so more people said they have a lot or some knowledge. And here are just some quotes from in the post-evaluation from some of the participants. I thoroughly enjoyed gathering with like people to learn and share knowledge and wisdom, awesome energy of the plants and UPS. And I appreciated the chance to hear about tools and communicate with like-minded people. And here we are taking a walk through the sanctuary. So to wrap up and think about some next steps, we encourage you to consider joining one of the sanctuary networks. We are also going to be hosting a workshop in Morgantown, West Virginia next July. So if you want to hear more about that, you can talk to us. And we encourage you to pick up a copy of our journal. And I think Susan had one more thing too.
Well, I just wanted to point out, and we welcome some good questions. For those students that are looking for a really great project, the Botanical Sanctuary Network application process is a wealth of data that could be mined for any kind of, conservation research project. Not only do we have all the data of the plants that people report around their sanctuary, but then we have this whole network of really on-the-ground conservation work. So I think there's a lot of opportunity for future students to study conservation initiatives that are participatory action research based. And I just wanted one other small insight is the whole kind of history of sacred groves and conservation happening with indigenous communities. I really see, and some of the one in Ghana is a sacred grove, but I really see the Botanical Sanctuary Network as kind of a rebirth of that movement, but in the modern cultural context that we're in right now. So if you know of anybody that might be interested or you're working on a project, I encourage you to send them our way so that we can have more people join the network.
Thank you.
Any questions? Do you have a few minutes?